Hey everyone, welcome back to Pixels and Politics, where today's episode takes a magical detour into the realm of one of the most beloved anime series of all time. In the episode 7, we're hosting a roundtable discussion on the highly anticipated remake of Avatar: The Last Airbender. I'm Blackheart, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host Dougie, and with us today are esteemed guests Cirque213, Mediocre Nug, and returning favorite Vin, as we dive into expanded lore, fan expectations, and what this remake means for the Avatar universe. From bending styles to the spiritual depth of the series, we'll explore every corner of this rich world together. Whether you're Team Avatar or a secret Fire Nation supporter, this episode is your portal to all things Avatar. And so, let's go ahead and dive in with a rather open-ended first question. Favorite characters? Go.
Vin, I'm curious about yours.
Well, it depends on from which Avatar though. Are we going with the Last Airbender? Because I have a favorite character from like the entire series, and
I think Legend of Korra is fair game for sure.
it's Avatar 1. Like that whole
Oh,
backstory where
Juan.
they developed him as a character. Like the one is like really shitty fucking name, but the whole story of like a hero's journey, it was very short, but it gave so much insight. That was my favorite.
That's fair. That's a good choice. I stand by that for sure.
That's fair. I'm gonna be cliche. I have to choose Iroh. I was thinking about this
Oh,
earlier.
what a
That's my
I
disappointing
second
choice.
favorite.
yeah.
Oh god, I love Iroh so much.
Second
Dude's
favorite.
drinking tea while the world's on end,
Yeah.
ending in Korra. It's the most
Yeah.
Iroh thing to do.
He's gotta be my favorite. And then if I had to choose someone else not so typical, I am very attached to Katara and always have been. So I have to go with her. Soft spot.
Chris, would you like to throw in your opinion?
I mean, I'm kind of lame. I would have chose Iroh as well.
That's fair. I think that would probably
Yeah.
be pretty common across the board. I think Zuko. I love Zuko's arc and so much. This is my favorite. He has like I think the most amount of growth. And
Agreed.
I just love
Well,
watching him.
I think they did a great job of defining Zuko as like that nepotism child that ended up learning the truth about the real world.
Yeah.
That's like he's definitely up there. It's one of my favorite.
Ryan, what about you?
Oh man. Man, I think mine's also Zuko. And it's
Yeah?
for a lot of the same reasons, but I also think that like I think what I like about him is that he helps me appreciate Iroh a lot more just because of how he reminds Iroh of his own son. And it plays in like one of my favorite scenes, right, where like Zuko's having, the whole like daddy issue thing and he realizes that Iroh is basically his subjugate father or whatever, and he just kind of breaks down. That's like one of my favorite scenes from like any show ever.
Hmm.
Oh,
Cry
it's
every
so
time.
good. Oh yeah, it's so good.
You started out with all the sad stuff. uh, yeah, I think something I really like about Zuko is um, at least not just the connection with Iroh and his growth, but also I think it's very relatable when you get traumatized like that and you get into that single mindset. It can become really hard, no matter what that mindset is. For I imagine for each person it's different, but it becomes quite hard to overcome it. And a show meant for kids had no right to put that much effort into that character. That was wild. But I think those were all great choices. Um, so I thought we could start straight just from season one um, of the first Avatar. And we'll go through each of the seasons, your favorite episodes if you can remember them, and we'll pick apart all of it and just probably just fangirl because I don't really think that show has any issues whatsoever.
Okay. Sounds good.
Hmm. Man, I'm trying to think. I actually think back in the first season, I think that one ends like with the end of the siege of the Northern Water Tribe, right?
Mhm.
I love
Yeah.
the moment where like the moon goddess like kind of like awakens or whatever, right? And just freaking topples like all the firebenders that are invading. I thought that was freaking amazing.
It was the ocean spirit.
Yeah.
Yeah, ocean spirit, that's what it was. Yes. I thought it was the moon for some reason. I don't know why.
No,
But
moon
yeah,
die.
you're right.
The moon died.
The
Yeah.
the
Moon died.
vengeful fish.
Oh god, okay. There we
When
go.
I Moon Goddess, I was like, wait, Sokka's first EF?
Yep.
Yeah, I thought so I rewatched it all recently for, to prep for the upcoming remake. And he actually does that without I don't think he's supposed to be able to waterbend. So it was just pure ocean spirit being pissed off and defying whatever the hell they were like. I don't think it had anything to do with bending. It was just the ocean spirit, just very angry and unleashing the fury upon the Fire Nation.
Angry fish. Yes. Yeah, that was just vengefulness, anger incarnate.
Yeah.
Him taking Zhao was one of my favorite parts of that season.
What about
And
when
then
he's going to take him and Zuko's like offering his hand and Zhao
I was
just
about
like
to say he's already
yeah.
showing his true character there.
Yeah. They did a really good job. Again, I can talk about Zuko a lot, but they did a really good job from start to finish throughout the whole show, just showing the like little cracks in the internal conflict for him, like straight from the gate. Oh man, it's so good. I really hope they can pull those moments off in the remake. I really do. I think.
I have bad news for you.
He's such a skeptic.
Listen,
Uh,
so
um,
originally I told most of you that I thought it was going to be good. I've kind of changed my mind after some of the news has come out, but
um,
Yeah.
so they're still showing a lot of like the relationship, but it's very toned down. Like it's the Netflix special, because if the source material is good, they're like, nah, let's just get rid of it, because like one of the most important things is the relationship between like Zuko and Iroh. They're actually trimming a lot of that down. What they are showing is how fucking broken Zuko is. You guys remember the scene where he like just breaks the chain with his feet?
Yeah.
Yeah, that they're showing that at least. But the other like important stuff, unfortunately, like they're cutting down a lot of stuff, like Sokka's whole development arc, like
Mm.
Aang's whole development arc, because he's gonna go from like, I want to go around and have adventures and shit, to no, I'm just gonna be the Avatar. And they're also decimating a lot of like Zuko's characteristics too.
I haven't seen much about Zuko, but what I have seen about Sokka and Aang, I'm very concerned. I don't think they'd understand the source material if they're making those changes. That's the
Well,
biggest issue.
it's one of the specials of like Hollywood, right? They're told to not read the source material, and it's like, why would you hire writers that don't love the source material? It's like it ruins the like, because to truly understand and embody like a remake or like a live action, you have to understand what made it so great. I mean, there's other examples. I'll take a quick detour, because the Samurai X live actions, it was because the director and the actors loved the source material so much that like they made those movies great. And then we see like the old the first live action, that shit was awful.
I'm
Was there
unfamiliar.
anything about the original live action that anyone liked?
Oh, the
Like
movie.
the costumes.
I almost didn't want
So
to I put it in.
So one
Um,
of the things that I like, there isn't a lot to like about that movie, in my opinion. Like it's been criticized from hell to back. One of the things that I actually like though is that they made firebenders have to be near fire to use their firebending. They couldn't just fuck do like summon fire out of nowhere. It was like a little overpowered, but like I thought it was cool like when they did the siege in the North scene, right, where the ships have to like launch the fireballs onto the battlefield so
Yeah.
they could like grab fire from it. I thought that was pretty cool. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, I thought that was a good change, especially if they were trying. Well, obviously, it didn't really draw anyone in. It's just more of a love to hate it at this point. But I thought that was a good change to bring in a new audience too, because that just made the magic system make more sense with the rest of it. every other bender needs to be near their element, right? So, oh, that was a good change. I'll give them that one.
But other than that, that shit was awful, and it just proves like don't fucking like over obsess over like a live action remake after the shit that like Hollywood just let us down on repeat. Because like if I know this sounds very weird, but like from firsthand experience with like all of the dramas from different cultures I've seen, the best people to make like an Avatar: The Last Airbender remake is most likely the Chinese like or Korean drama teams. Because man, oh man, can they write, and man, oh man, can they like actually just min-max stories.
At this point, from what I've heard, I'm hoping they actually do something very different, but it is also still very good. That is what I'm hoping for. I don't expect it to be very much like the source material. I don't really expect it to be too bad either, like the movie, but I'm hoping for some middle ground at least. Um, the Last of Us show adaptation, I thought, can maybe serve as an example where they kind of diverted from some of the core stuff, but it still like came out really good. Like it was still a good show. So I'm hoping very much that they take a very similar approach. But yeah, we'll see. It comes out in like 2 days, so we'll find out very shortly.
Mhm.
But
Yes, sir.
yeah,
I mean, even with some of the other ones they did, like The Witcher and One Piece, those were pretty good in their first season.
Uh, I highly disagree.
I
If
mean, I don't know
you're
about One Piece. I didn't really watch that.
I'm
Like,
not talking about One Piece. I'm talking about Witcher. If you knew the source material, like if you're an avid book reader, they completely like sacked a lot of the core material that would have just been like good. If they just did what Game of Thrones did for the first season, they just stuck to the core. They probably could have like built something and then like extended from there. Because the only like actually decent episode from The Witcher was the first episode where it took a short story and it literally wrote it down to a T. And like that's what made it so good.
yeah,
Because
the first couple episodes of The Witcher were pretty good, and then it just
and
completely off-railed.
they went completely into Yennefer's arc and like they completely butchered that shit. I will die on that ground.
I think it was okay for like general audience. I went in and watched it. And I had no idea about the books. I had seen some of the gameplay from Witcher 3. And honestly, actually, it was really confusing. The time skipping kind of messed me up. But after I got over that, I was like, this is not a bad show. And then it does go downhill. But it did please some people. I mean, it had viewers. So there are times when diverting from source material can work. I'm hoping this is one of them, but we'll see. It didn't last long. Obviously, people were not happy about the later seasons of The Witcher.
Oh no, it was terrible, and Henry Cavill left because he disagreed with how much they were going away from the source material.
I mean, he's not wrong. Like my man learned his lesson. Don't let Hollywood butcher your fucking dream, baby. At least he's running Warhammer. He's off to better things. I cannot wait for that.
Okay, but of the original, which seasons are your favorite? Which episodes are your favorite? What are some of the things you liked about the characters? Um,
Um, Favorite episode of the entire show for me is um, book 2, episode, I think it's 17, Lake Laogai is my favorite. The speech to from Iroh to Zuko, who are you? What do you want? Gets me every time. So I'm torn between that one. I can't remember the episode in season 3, the one we talked about earlier. Makes me cry every time. Uh, and Iroh just hugs Zuko because he has the biggest heart in the world. That one gets me too. Those are my top 2 for sure.
is Lake Liagai or Lagai when Jet dies? Or well,
Yeah.
yeah, that is one. That is a sad one. You picked all the sad ones.
Just get me. I don't.
I think
They just get
I
to
think
me.
I think what I loved about the original series overall was that for a show that was like meant for kids and like could only show like so much violence, man, they had some really great emotional moments that didn't
Mhm.
over like rely too much on like brutality or anything like that. Like it was so good.
Yeah, they did a fantastic job with the emotions in the entire show. And just having arcs for, I mean, there aren't very many static characters in the show. They all grow. Anyone that has more than like one episode recurring is gonna have some sort of growth in the show. And I don't know many other shows that do that so well.
I don't know if it was intentional, but they did. You know how normally the main character has to live. They've got the plot armor. They did a really good job at giving us like actual logic for them not trying to kill Aang, and for Aang, obviously, he's the main character, the hero. He's not supposed to kill anybody.
Oh yeah. Once they
They-
revealed the Avatar state, they had to give us some justification for it,
Yeah.
or it doesn't work.
So one of my favorite episodes was more of like a characterization and like accumulation of the relationship between Zuko and Aang. So it was if I remember correctly, it was season 3, episode 13, the Firebending Masters, I think it was called.
Yes.
And it showed the origin of like how firebending was utilized, but it also showed like the cumulative relationship between like Zuko and Aang and like the end scene where they both figured out like how to efficiently firebend like from the dragons. There's multiple reasons, right? Because like now we can actually see like as someone who used to want to kill each other, like how close they've become. Like they're essentially brothers. Like how far Zuko has changed from this like kid with hardcore daddy issues who hated the world and he hated himself because of his like trauma and upbringing, and like how they finally come together and they learn about like the secrets of his culture and his people. And the scene with like the dancing dragon movements, those were beautiful. But it also showed how like shitty of an avatar Roku was. Yeah.
He wasn't the
Or
worst one. He wasn't the worst one.
who do you think is the worst one in your
Kyoshi is
opinion?
literally known as being like very
I love
murderous.
Kyoshi.
I mean, she's a badass for sure, but she was.
I love her novels.
Oh, did you actually read them?
Yeah. Multiple times.
So then you know what I'm talking about. You give the spiel.
You want to give me the sauce of like why Kyoshi's like the worst one?
I mean, I love Kyoshi, but she's vengeful. Uh, but I mean, didn't necessarily have the Avatar upbringing either. She learned to be the Avatar through hatred, basically. Her entire growth in that first novel is one finding herself, growing in confidence, discovering that she's the Avatar, unfortunately, in her opinion, and then taking her vengeance on those that caused all the problems in her life. I don't want to give spoilers, so if you can explain that
Please
better,
spoil.
Doug, it might
No,
be
no,
better on
because
you.
spoil. I want to hear all the lore, and I don't plan on reading the novel. At least not right now. So
I don't have time for that shit. I have physics this semester.
I love hearing about it. Then my phone must know because I'm starting to get a bunch of like the short videos of them explaining some of the parts of the story. So please go ahead, share.
All right, so long story short, Kiyoshi is the daughter of an renegade airbending nun who fell in love with a thief in a opera troupe. That was their cover, was an opera troupe, so they can get into prestigious venues. Fell in love with him, abandoned the air traditions, lost her airbending because it's so spiritually inclined, and then they had a daughter together and abandoned that daughter in a city. So Kiyoshi grew up as living on the streets. She got taken in by a kind airbending nun who came to visit the city looking for the Avatar. They could not find the Avatar for 16 years, which was unheard of at the time. So they eventually find him, yay, everything's good, but he can't do all of his bending. So she ends up working in that same town as a servant to the Avatar. And then, she gets taken down to help with him, becomes best friend with him. Gets betrayed, ends up finding out she's the Avatar because she goes onto some crazy Avatar shit in the Southern Water Tribe and saves everyone's lives and pulls up Earth from the bottom of the ocean, hundreds of thousands or hundreds of feet. Saves everyone, and then her master at the time, who was the Avatar's master, decides to kill the Avatar by offering him to a spirit to find out which one of them was the true Avatar. So kills her best friend and kills her stand-in father, the airbender that adopted her. just to basically control her and take over. She goes into the Avatar state another time, manages to get away from him. She happens to have an air bison, takes him, runs away, finds her family's old thieving community, and then her entire story at that point is learning to be the Avatar to exact her vengeance on the man that ruined her life. So it's pretty epic. She comes in, kills him hundreds of feet in the air, drops him like a bug. He squishes. It's pretty great. But it is entirely vengeance, and then after that point, she doesn't really grow much from there. She works with all of the undercities of the world and fights evil that way.
So she pulls the Batman.
Yeah,
That's
in a way.
fucking hilarious.
Yeah, it's
Oh my god.
great. They're pretty short reads as far as novels go. The second one isn't even really worth it, but the first one was pretty good.
Wow. I mean, I knew she was. I
Fucking
don't
bad,
remember
but
like
that's like
yeah.
that's a different type of fucking bad.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, she's
like,
a little
I
messed up.
mean, it's understandable considering where she came from. Like that shit's fucking traumatizing.
Yeah, Roku, I think is like kind of an age old compared to the previous.
Well,
Roku made mistakes.
Roku was
He
more
did.
like
Massive
he
consequences.
didn't do shit when he saw injustice. That was like what was like just satisfying. He kind
No,
of just
him
existed.
having mercy on his friends his friend caused 100 years of war. So
And like I
Fair
understand
enough.
it's like it's the human aspect of Roku, but Jesus Christ, if you're doing that, you've already fucked up somewhere, buddy. Especially when your friend is like a madman.
Yeah.
Absolute fucking madman. Let's I do have something like that. Like what exactly attracted you into like Avatar for you guys?
I
That's a good
remember
question.
being like super young. I think I was like in elementary school still, or like maybe really early middle school. And I just thought it was super cool that like people were like running around like sort of like fantasy setting, war with like magic powers. I thought that was awesome. That's just what drew me in. And as I got older, I appreciated it much differently, of course. But at first, I just thought it was a cool show.
I mean, I was 9 when it came out, but I had a younger brother, and we watched a lot of Nickelodeon when he got off school. So I remember the teasers dropping, and then we would go out and pretend in the pool that we could bend water, and I've loved it ever since.
Eh,
I don't even remember when I first saw it or when I first got into it. I've watched it so many times now. I just feel like if it's just been like a part a part of my watch routine every year. It's just like I gotta watch the Last Airbender again. I just get in that
it's
mode where I
good,
want to
dude.
feel. Yeah, it's so good. But for sure, I think there's a lot to appreciate now. It's like a grown adult than there was before. And again, I don't know if they were just being super intelligent with how they were running it so that it fit every world possible, but they just really made such a great foundation for a show that could be for both age groups. Um, yeah.
What about you, Chris?
I wasn't really into it as a kid. I never really watched it until Kristen watched it like 70 times a day at my house. And so just kind of learned about it through proximity, I guess. So, I mean, I've seen all the episodes probably 100 times each, seen the overanalyzing avatars, seen, the history, the making of, listened to the audiobooks in the car, just
There's
proximity.
audiobooks?
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
so like
Kyoshi
I've heard
one.
the Kiyoshi novels like in the car.
Oh my god,
And
like
then there's Yang Chen too.
we don't talk about
Who's
Yak
that?
Shed like we don't talk about Bossing Say.
Is that the Airbender?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the
Okay.
Airbender avatar.
I
It's
want
the
to know.
bald bitch
Tell
before.
me about her. I only know that she was super powerful, and that's it.
Um,
Yeah. Go ahead, Ben.
no, you go ahead. You're the expert here.
No, I mean, so Yang Chen is, typical airbender, but she is capable of murder when she thinks it's the best choice for the situation. I mean, they kind of hinted at that in the show, right? And then I
Yeah.
guess they carried it on to when they wrote the novels. Yeah, so she was, an expert at the technique of taking air out of a room to, you know, subdue a target. So she does that. I didn't find her books to be. They weren't as much about her because I mean she was typical. She had some challenges, and she does. I mean, I guess her major quirk is that she has crazy connections to all of the other past avatars
Mm.
and will become them sometimes in fits. Like she'll not seizures, but she'll like have fits where she doesn't know if she's waking up as herself or as a different avatar. So she'll have their fears sometimes, like if she's going into a small space. She's not claustrophobic, but one of the other past avatars might be, and they'll kind of take over her being at that point, and that fear will overcome her. So that's I guess her most interesting quirk about her. She's insanely powerful, gifted at all the bending, has been since a very young age. Always knew she was the avatar because she would have these spiritual fits. Um, she's really torn up by the loss of her sister, who died teaching her how to travel into the spiritual realm. That was a cool part too. So she does have a whole journey of going to find her and finding peace with that. But most of her books are about her kind of team avatar, so to speak.
Well, from my experience that I know of, possibly through fucking YouTube videos, Young Chen was the type of fucking woman to like keep peace at all costs. Like the ends justify the means. Because, well, you guys know what combustion benders are, right?
Yeah.
So what happened was
Sparky,
there was
Sparky
this,
Boom, man.
yeah, there was a scene where she had like they were part of like an underground cult that like wanted to free certain cities from the control of like the three kingdoms of like the water tribe, the earth kingdom, the fire kingdom. Could be wrong. Uh, but what happened was she ended up just mercilessly killing them, and then she immediately covered up that incident as like a crisis of like relating to spiritual imbalance. So she is the type of woman, like she's pretty badass because she wanted to keep peace at all costs, and like she would murder like indiscriminately for that peace, which is understandable considering like
Didn't kill them all though. She almost
yeah,
did.
at least she's not falling like genocide, you know.
She stopped herself, and the second book was the kind of the results of her not killing them initially, and that her grappling with that choice and the impacts and consequences of
I
that.
I hope they do her justice in the last Airbender and the flashbacks because like I feel like the they I don't know, but this story could have been stretched out within like the vicinity of like 5 total seasons, and they could have done much more from like what I heard within like the new live action.
Do we have any more comments specifically to the Airbender avatar? Because I actually heard something that made me think of something else that I actually really appreciate about the series,
Mm-hmm.
which is the way and the usage of the spirit realm as like a sort of plot or explanation like device. It reminds me a lot if you've ever seen Code Geass of C's World, but the way that Avatar does it is like way better in my opinion. Like it's supposed to be this sort of like mystical realm that kind of acts a little bit like a MacGuffin at times, or like this sort of like trippy sort of reflective space that's just very, in flux. But it just really works for the show. I think like the way they choose to use it in those times of like either explaining like the dangers of going there or like what they see there and reflecting on what the real world is like really well done.
I
Yeah.
agree. I like the implementation of the spirit world and Avatar, Last Airbender at least. Uh, don't like the direction they took with it in Korra, but I really like the obscurity and kind of the mysticism and the
Um,
mystery surrounding it in Avatar, Last Airbender.
well, the reason why they took the direction that they did was like the entirety of the spirit world and like the world of Avatar was heavily inspired by Asian culture because the Fire Kingdom represented Japan, the Earth Kingdom represented like China, the Air Nomads represented the Tibetan nomad monks, and then the Water Kingdom represented the very like the Great North where all the Mongolians and like the what do you call it the Uyghurs and the Jurchens were. So the whole point of why they decided to do that spirit world is like it's from the theoretical like world of how nature or the Tao comes into play in like Eastern culture, where like in Japan we have yokai and like what do you call it shinigami stuff like that, and then China has Yao Guai. Like they're all interconnected, and like these were monsters inspired from this book called the Shanhai Jing, which is like the Tales of Mountains and Seas. So that's why they ended up taking like this delve into the spirit world in Korra. They had a template from that, like the baseline that they used to create the world of Avatar. So I highly disagree with like what they took for like the light spirit and the dark spirit, but I really love that aspect. Like that was what made me watch Avatar, and like it got me super deep into Korra because like so in season 2, Korra enters the spirit world. That was like very very interesting.
I also enjoyed the spirit realm adventure and its involvement in Korra. I know it was definitely a lot of people didn't like that, but I kind of like the expansion on the lore behind it and how the two worlds kind of mixed, and just learning about the Avatar in general. Again, I think the lore that they did is just fantastic. And going back to the murderous avatars, I love that they expanded on um, poor Aang's problem, where he's just like, guys, I don't want to murder anybody. Can you guys, confirm or deny that this, is an option? And it turns out all the ones he's asking are very murderous people. They're just like, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. It is what it is. Poor Aang.
Sometimes mass genocide is necessary, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, she's just like, bruh.
Dude, I love the fight that Aang has.
She's just
Go ahead.
Batmaning it.
Dude, I love the fight where Aang goes up against the Fire Lord at the end. I thought that was freaking awesome. Although it's not as cool. I think my favorite fight maybe from that show is Azula versus Zuko.
Agreed. The music, live orchestra,
Oh, the way like the music goes
the
in and
lighting.
out, like when they're doing like the really big sweeping fire moves, like the
So
color
good.
of white and blue
They
fire. Like, oh
collide.
my gosh, yes,
Yes.
the
And then
lightning.
they switch stances, like Zuko's stance switching, and he just redirects the lightning. Oh my god, that Agni Kai was fucking great.
I mean,
Oh,
throughout that entire fight, Zuko was using, bending that was inspired from the Bitter Work episode in season 2, where or Iroh is talking about you need to embrace all cultures. Like you can see, like he's splitting the fire. He's doing other moves that are typically associated with other types of bending. Full circle. I love Zuko's growth.
mhm. Yep. No, Zuko's a great
So good.
character. I also love he does the move that he uses against Admiral Zhao during season 1 where he like
Mhm.
is kicking a bunch on the ground and like kind of spinning around. He uses that against Zula too, and I think that's the move that like gets her like basically like on the ground. Like that's kind of like the first time he really gets an advantage on her, which I thought was a nice callback because he does the same thing to Zhao.
All right.
That's like
Speaking of
his signature
Azula,
move.
what do we think of her characteristics? Like just her as a character, her as like a development.
Azula?
Yeah.
I think what is the opposite of development?
She's very static. She's a static character.
I think I like that she I don't know. Like she doesn't have growth. Like she's not a round character, but like at the end she's kind of like I think she kind of accepts that she's like her problem, right? Like a lot of her insecurities come from the fact that like she has all the pressure on her, right? Because Zuko is a failure, and so
Mhm.
like everything he was supposed to do got shifted onto her instead, and just kind of like broke her a little bit, and she just became like a freaking sociopath or whatever. And her friends kind of keep her in check a little bit, right? You have like Ty Lee and
May.
fuck, what's the other one's name? May, yeah.
Pretty sure that's her name.
Yeah.
And they keep her in check, and then when they're gone, she becomes more sporadic and just crazy. And at the end, when Zuko beats or whatever, she kind of like breaks down crying because I think she's just like finally realizes like, okay, like I'm not the hotshot I'm supposed to be. I'm afraid of failing. Blah blah blah. And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but Zuko doesn't like berate her or anything, right? He kind of like helps her
No.
out and
He's
But
electrocuted.
she's still batshit crazy though. Like
She is.
He gets
She is.
electrocuted.
She is. But I love that. I love that it basically goes to the end there. That like, yeah, she has been broken for sure. But like, I love that she plays into Zuko's character development at the end too, because then we can see how Zuko has grown because of the way he treats his sister.
I think I agree with everything you just said.
Mhm.
On top of that, there's throughout the entire show, she comes off as this super genius who can predict all of these moves the entire time. That's like her whole shtick. She knows where the Avatar is. She knows where he's going. She knows what the next plan is. Um, her whole thing is just being 10 steps ahead. And the betrayal of her friends, I mean, they make it pretty explicit in the show. It's like, she's like, but she didn't see that coming. For her, that moment when, she didn't see that coming at all, and she prides herself on being able to see everything that's happening all the time and knowing. I think that was definitely kind of the breaking point for her. It's just,
It's the big boom moment. But like
yeah.
that's what makes the show so fucking great, right? Like it embodies a villain, and then when the villain like it shows the villain faltering, it's like it's a great like crescendo of when the villain just completely snaps as soon as they realize I'm not who I think I am. Like it's it like I love that and how the writers embodied that. Because you don't see that often in modern writing. It's more about the fucking woke bullshit and like more like modern stuff. But we just want a good down to earth, like not down to earth, like a good story where you can see how this villain and like how certain villains are seen as this overpowered monster, and all of a sudden like they just snap at the end.
Yeah, it kind of brings me to another thing I want to talk about where they spend a lot of time talking about how the avatar state is like, you're just fucked. Like, if it's activated, you're just fucked. And I think a lot of other shows kind of falter when they play up their heroes, mega ability or form or whatever, and then they have to
Like
step up the
shonen anime.
villain. Sure, I mean it happens all the time, and they just like have to step up the villain, and the villain's like beating his ass, right? And then there's like some kind of external thing that triggers the hero to go Super Saiyan or something. But
It's literally Bleach. Like the fucking the whole like thing about the Bleach is like the premise just the stakes keep on getting higher and higher. Eventually, like you fight
oh yeah,
God. That's
yeah,
like that's
100%.
every JRPG or like any Japanese like anime. You end up fighting God.
But they never nerf the Avatar state. Even at the end, Aang spends the whole time running in that fight, just trying to defend himself. And against like the big bad guy that they've been building up for 3 seasons, he whoops his fucking ass, dude. The whole latter end of that fight is just the Fire Lord, the Phoenix King, running for his life, and it's just Aang going psycho. I really appreciate that because I think it's very easy for them to just be like, oh my god, the Fire Lord, he can match, the Avatar state. That's crazy, even though they spend such and such time hyping it up. But they never nerfed it at all. They nerfed Aang, but they never
Well, it's
nerfed
because
the Avatar state.
it has the mega drawback, right? If you die in the avatar state, the avatar is no more, right? That's the
Yeah.
big drawback. Which I think, and also correct me if I'm wrong, in that last fight, he can't willingly enter the. Well, I mean, you could never
Correct.
willingly enter it, but he
Yes, you
like
can.
only gets activated because he gets hit on the spot on his back, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably the only thing about the show that I don't love is that that felt a little bit too convenient for me.
Sure.
I choose to forgive it, but I mean, him getting his chakras locked when he was speaking to the guru and decided to go rescue Katara, that was kind of the end of the Avatar state, right? He couldn't learn to control it from then. So you can, in theory, avatars can learn to control the Avatar state, but Aang was locked out of that from choosing personal attachment over the good of the world when he chose Katara over unlocking the chakras.
Yeah, and then in the middle of the fight, he opens the chakra, and then he flies up in the air, and then he gets shot with lightning in the back and dies. Technically.
Yeah.
Dude just comes in and
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah,
hey
he gives
yo,
up
let me eat
Katara,
you.
and then
Yeah.
yeah.
But again, I think it's just really good, good writing. It would be so easy to just, especially for a kids show. And Dave Filoni, by the way, who currently, well, he went and did Clone Wars after, which is another show that's touted as being quite amazing for an animated cartoon show. Went on to do Mandalorian and Ahsoka and blah, 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 all the spin-off stuff. He also directed episodes for the Avatar show. So that show just like must have had an amazing cast of people working on it because
I mean, they got Mark Hamill, so what else can you ask for?
Wait, who was Mark Hamill
He was a
voice
couple
acting?
characters. Ozai would be the most notable. He was Ozai. He was also, when Aang goes to the spirit world at the end of season 1, and the monkey says, "Go away." That's Mark Hamill as well. Fun fact.
Holy
I
shit.
love that man.
He's great. Now, like ever since Conroy died, I guess we won't ever just get to see Joker and Batman.
There's a
Quite a
couple.
sad thing.
There's a couple of notable voice actors that I didn't even realize until like 2 years ago. But I
Mhm.
think Ron Perlman voices Firelord, one of the Firelords. Maybe it's Roku. Who's the grandfather? I can't remember his name. It's killing me.
Sozin?
Is it Sozin?
Um,
Sozin's son,
so
no?
someone right before Sozin, and then there's another one, and then there's Ozai, right? Wait.
Yeah. Uh
All right, well, let's
oh.
Google it. Let's Google it.
Uh oh.
I'm trying to find it.
Azulon.
Azulon,
Azulon,
yeah, yeah.
yes. There you go. Yes, I'm pretty sure Ron Perlman voices him. And yeah, he does a fantastic job too. But the other thing I really wanted to talk about was the ending when he goes to take his bending away. And there's like the energy fight. I feel like this point goes completely over a lot of people's heads. But the whole point of that was willpower, but specifically Aang had to want to avoid killing him more than he was willing to pretty much, do his Fire Lord thing and rule the world. He had to be more willing to let things go and reach that goal than Ozai conquering and killing, the Earth Kingdom, I guess, just burn it all to the ground.
I just had to be stronger in his convictions, I guess. Um, yeah, I feel like you just had to be more strength of will.
Yeah. But I feel like that's not
Really.
something that's well visualized in media. You don't really see that too often. You see it more in the yelling, I'm gonna stop you. Blah, blah, blah. But they did it in visual colors.
It's
Oh,
so beautiful.
yes. They just really sold the point that he just really didn't want to kill anybody, man. He was willing to go to any length to achieve it. He might have let what's his name kill anyone else before he killed him. I don't know. I love it so much. So, is there anything else you guys want to talk about season one first show before we move on to Korra? I do want to talk about Korra because I actually like it.
And you didn't
What
like the
about
first
season
one or
two?
what?
No,
Hello?
I did like the first one. I did. I
Oh
did.
my god.
What are you
Why
trying
you
to say?
roll with you? Oh
Oh,
my
wow.
god.
Like the first one was
I
great.
love
Alright.
Korra,
You know what?
but
We
I
can
don't think
go
I have
ahead. I
stronger
will allow you to
feelings.
move on to the second one, Dougie. How does that sound? Go ahead, please. Tell us about Legend of Korra.
Well, you see, the only thing I didn't like about Korra was their use of the White Lotus, but
It's the only thing.
yeah.
There were much more.
Okay. I want to
Like, I
talk about
like
things I
Korra, but
liked
there are
about
other
it. Okay.
things.
One, I thought it was the themes were a lot older or a little more mature, which is good. Um, and they also kind of sped run Aang's journey to becoming the Avatar, or at least learning the elements, so that we could just kind of focus on her own personal development as a person. There's not just like one single trait she needed to weed out. There's not like one single obstacle she needed to overcome. You literally get to watch this character grow up. Um, and then we got all the lore for the spirit world stuff. What? Okay, fine. Let's talk about what we don't like about it because I can hear you guys all thinking. What is it? Go ahead. What did you not like?
Yeah. It's a lot of things that I think. I mean, much of it has to do with their budget and how they screwed the writers and producers of that show as they were making it, so I won't fault them for that. Season 2, I struggle with a lot. I know y'all like the Avatar 1. I appreciate those episodes too. However, the rest of season 2, every single main character is unlikable throughout the entirety of it. I don't care about their love triangle. They should have just dropped that plotline from the beginning, personally. And then they end the whole season with what a giant avatar beings fighting. What the hell is that?
No,
No.
that's like
Well,
the
that's what it
classic.
was.
If they ran out of ideas, they were like, nah, just fucking put in the kaijus.
What? Yeah, thank you. Kaiju is the word I was looking for. Awful. Yeah, I feel like that was just not well thought out. And then I don't love, I mean, I liked the exploration of the spirit world a bit, but I hate the just good spirit versus evil spirit. I feel like that oversimplifies everything because the way we're looking at Avatar: The Last Airbender, it wasn't so black and white. There was a lot of nuance and gray area to every decision they had to make, and it weighed on them heavily. Whereas I feel like they simplify it a bit in Korra. So yes, I do feel like they tried to age it up quite a bit, and I appreciated that when I first started watching it, but I think their execution of the more mature themes was much poorer than Last Airbender.
Well, like what they did towards the end, you could clearly fucking see they hard fucked up because you lost so much of the value that you like, not the value, but you lost so much of the important stuff that like you get from fucking what do you call it, the Last Airbender, and then oh, what the fuck happened to Sokka? They were like, no, let's just kill him off.
Oh well.
Kind of me sad too. Forgot
Yeah.
about Sokka.
Yeah, that's fair.
They did too, I guess.
Amen, brother. Unlucky for Sokka.
I don't know. I didn't get that same take from it. I didn't think it was like about good or evil. I think it was more about like chaos and order and just like them being balanced, which I thought was pretty cool. And the disruption of the balance because the avatar existed. And what's his name? Rava and something Batu was locked away.
Vatu, yeah.
I thought that was cool. I thought, oh wow, it's pretty easy to just say it's light and dark and then cut them in half and they have to be together forever. But they found a way to like make the avatar exist while also not killing off Fatu. I thought that was cool. I like that there's this whole dilemma of, oh, the spirit world and this world used to be mixed and now they're not, and everyone's telling me I should keep them separated. But you know what? I think we should return to the age when they were together for the good of all beings. I don't know. I thought it was cool, kind of because it was novel. I understand the complaints, but I like that it was very different, in my opinion, from the first show, while still kind of holding true to the same themes of here's a character who's thrown into this world, everything's already defined for her, and she has to find some way to be a better person than what's already been established. And it was the same thing with Aang, where he had to be a better person than what was already established before him. And he did it. And she did it too in the end. Well, depending on how you feel, I guess, about the spirit world. But I enjoyed that. Yes, I didn't like the love triangle thing too. That was the other thing I was gonna mention. That was awful.
I felt like the love triangle was just dog shit.
Yes, I agree.
It's hard to watch. Yeah.
You guys are not
Like,
wrong. I wholeheartedly agree. I was not
it was like
interested.
that was not needed.
Okay, but Varric and Julie, that was needed. That was needed.
That's the only. Okay, yes. Needed that. Do the thing!
Do the thing, Julie, do the thing. That is my favorite thing ever. I swear. Oh my
Varric,
goodness.
in general, I adore him.
It kind of sucks they got the love triangle wrong because they had so many successes in terms of like positive relationships between other characters. There's that one which I don't know, it didn't start positive, but it ended positive. And then you had Opal, and I'm forgetting the Earthbender brother's name.
Yeah, I don't remember.
They shipped
Yeah.
everybody in that show, huh? Did they
Lynn.
not? Oh, Lynn, yeah.
Yeah, they had to pair everyone up. That's
Yeah,
I didn't
that's a
like
little
it.
much.
I didn't think it was necessary.
Yeah, that's fair. I can't see that.
There's some great villains though.
Yeah. Oh man, when the brothers they kill each other,
Yeah.
that messed me up, dude.
That was pretty great.
Yeah. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, damn. Okay, this show's a little different.
And
Jeez.
then I mean, even Kuvira in I
Oh
don't
yeah.
love season 4 was a mess, but I mean she was really cool. She could have been so great if they didn't end in a giant robot battle. But there they went there again.
Yeah, that's fair.
I feel like the ending, like towards the end of the entire series, just got completely fucked though. Because I wish it actually had a true ending. It just felt very abrupt in how it was cut.
Well, that's part on their budget getting cut, literally.
Anything for the almighty dollar.
So what happened behind the scenes? 'Cause you said that there was problems
Yeah,
with
you want to give us a
production.
sauce?
Yeah, give us.
I don't know the
tea.
exact details, but the budget was cut severely, so the last 2 seasons weren't posted on Nickelodeon. Those were only available on Nick.com. So if that gives you any indication, Nickelodeon didn't really believe in the show that too much. They were initially going to only have that first season, so that's kind of why it's structured in the way that the first season is. If that's all they thought they were going to have at first, it was just going to be a 1 season spinoff of Avatar: The Last Airbender. It did well, so they gave them a second season with very short time to actually get it out to the world. So that's why the next 3 seasons all felt rushed, and then after the second season, they cut their budget almost completely. We're having layoffs the entire time for production, and yeah, it didn't even get posted on Nickelodeon on cable. It just went onto their website. So they got kind of screwed. So I do kind of think about that when I'm trying to judge the show as well. It could have been a lot better, and I'm sure the writers wanted it to be a lot better, but Nickelodeon overlords money said otherwise.
I think I remember hearing that part of the problem was they were pushing. I mean, it's gonna sound ironic now because we were just complaining about it, but more like woke themes where what's her name was bisexual or whatever.
Didn't show anything though.
And it was
I
a
guess it was
female lead.
older. Yeah.
I think I
I don't
remember hearing. I don't know if it's true, but I thought I remembered that was like a kind of a contention point from the writers and the producers. But who knows? I didn't know that they had a budget problem.
hmm
That is most unlucky.
I mean, Nickelodeon was too busy getting Dan Snyder in his feet pics.
Yeah, honestly.
Dead. You gotta get all the feet pics in, they did. Oh,
So
fuck.
which parts of the remake, the rumors that we've heard so far, do we hate the most? Starting from the age swap, this is what we got first. I remember very distinctly what they released first. It was the age swap for Katara and Sokka, which everyone was like, okay, it's a little weird, but sure, that's fine. And then it was Sozin's Comet, which actually made sense. They said that they couldn't film all of the 3 seasons within the year time frame that they had for Sozin's Comet because obviously the kids are going to age up. It'll be very obvious it's not going to work. And then past that point, it gets pretty wild.
Yeah, the Game of Thrones.
Yeah, how do we feel about the Game of Thrones comment? What does that mean? Does anyone know?
Why are they trying to be Game of Thrones?
Like,
Why do you think you need to do that? Why do you need to gather the Game of Thrones audience for this show? What kind of audience do you think this is going to draw? I'm so confused about what they're thinking with that one. That just I learned that very recently, and it is still trying to figure it out. So I'd love your guys' input.
Well, and if you're trying to capture that audience, why do you take away the sexism? How is sexism too mature for the Game of Thrones audience?
I'm kind of concerned with the Game of Thrones audience because it's like this is a hero's journey, not a fucking like socio-political fucking landscape about like attempting to like battle for the throne.
But it could be. I think so. This is my thing where I think the show could be good if it doesn't. I mean, it's already strayed pretty far from the source material at this point. So, as long as they try and be their own thing, because personally, I like the politics in Game of Thrones. I thought that show was cool, and the world of Avatar. There's a lot of that going on constantly, so I can see it kind of working. But I don't know. It's just a weird comment to say.
Well,
we're gonna try to bring in the Game of Thrones fans.
You can't stay true to the fucking source material if you're gonna bring in like social political shit. Like, yes, there is like politics, but why don't they just do that for like a future Avatar series, or like a prequel? Like fucking Yang Chen is like Avatar Yang Chen, like a live action of Yang Chen would be perfect for that type of shit.
I had heard some rumors they were kind of trying to speed run this so that they could get to Korra. I don't know why. I don't really remember where I heard that from.
Yeah, because they gotta put a gay chick in it, dude. That's the whole point of Korra.
Oh Lord.
They're gonna have Sydney Sweeney as a tanned Korra.
Oh Lord.
Like how they
Now
stole the
that I'd
battle
watch.
Yes, sir. Super skimpy Korra costume.
So, what's this about the age swap you mentioned? I hadn't heard that.
it was
I
like
have more concerns.
This is the first thing that came out, and I don't know why this one drew the most amount of like, but they had swapped. So I think in the first show, Katara's younger than Sokka. Sokka's the oldest.
You're kidding. They switched that?
They
No.
swapped that, yeah.
So Zutara's happening now. Okay. They don't care about the lore. They don't care about anything. They don't care that Aang and Katara have children and Korra. They don't care.
No. From what I heard, I could be wrong, but I heard terrible rumors down the grapevine. They're trying to get Zuko and Katara together over Aang and Katara.
Yeah,
And
Zutara.
yeah, it's understandable because they have trauma, but it's like people shouldn't build relationships based off of similar fucking trauma. That's how you get a broken ass relationship.
I'm gonna be the devil's advocate here. I kind of ship Katara and Zuko more
Oh, you're one of them.
Okay, but here's the thing.
They have children!
No, I know. But again, if they're gonna stray from the lore, then I say fuck it, dude. Like, go nuts. And those two, not only, it's not about the trauma, but they did share, like, way more similarities in personality than Aang and Katara. I swear Aang and Katara felt so forced. It was just like, oh, here's the strongest chick. Here's the strongest Avatar guy. Dude, the Avatar guy's gotta have a fucking, waifu. Like, let's ship them together. And it, like, what moments in the show, like, said chemistry between the two?
There's very few, I will give you that. She looks at him with eyes one time when they're dancing together, beginning of season 3, when they're doing like what is that movie called? I don't remember. The one where they're dancing in the cave.
Yeah.
that is the one time she looks at him with any interest. I will give you that. But I still stand that they have children that are canon.
Yeah.
I don't like them changing that.
It is a major plot point, right? So
Yes.
I don't hate it either way, but what I don't want them to do is kind of try and pretend that they're going to stick to the source material and then do what all the other shows do, where they just start to stray wildly from it and just piss everybody off. I think if you're gonna go nuts, go fucking nuts at the start, bro. Like, just do it, because otherwise you're just gonna make everyone so fucking angry. So I don't know.
I mean, people aren't already fucking angry when they see this shit.
Sure,
Like,
but that's gonna happen no matter what. It's pretty irrelevant. You gotta have a strong start, and then the next 2 episodes have to they still have to be as strong. They gotta be similar to that first episode. Otherwise, you just lose the entire audience. And if you start strong with the first episode, where you're like, oh yeah, look, it's a shot for thought, the same fucking show. Like, that's great. And then you get to the second one, and it's just a little different, and then you get to the third one, and it's very different. That's how you piss people off, and they don't want to watch that shit anymore. That is exactly how it happens. But if you start the first episode, it's pretty different, but it's still good. People are going to be curious enough to stick around for the next 2 and 3, and you can keep diverging. I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully, it's just good. That's fingers crossed. But I'm telling you, these guys, the directors and writers are coming out, and they're really excited for changes that everyone else is just like, what the fuck are you saying, bro? Game of Thrones fans, like, what? And they're really happy about it. They have a giant smile on their face, like, yeah, Game of Thrones fans, come watch our stuff. It's like, dude, hey,
yes, sir. Time to lose their minds.
Yeah. And
I cannot wait. Okay, go ahead.
No, go ahead. What can she wait for?
No. I just say that I cannot wait to see how they'll fucking butcher this. I hope they don't butcher it. I'm a huge fucking fan of this shit. But like, I don't know. I feel like them taking away Sokka's fucking sexism completely ruins his entire character development. And
Aang's too.
they were like, you know what they're gonna do with fucking Aang. They're literally saying, okay, he's gonna accept that he's the Avatar instantly. It's like, no. That's not how you fucking tell a hero's journey. There needs to be a call to action. That was the whole point of like the first half of it, you know?
It's this entire 3-season arc is him learning to accept responsibility. It's not until when he starts learning earthbending in the season 2 where he starts turning towards fights instead of just running away. I mean, pretty much consistently across the board, every fight they encounter until halfway through season 2, they turn away, they try to escape, they run. But after that point, they do start taking things more head on and accepting responsibility. That's a huge part of the entire show, is him learning when to accept that responsibility, when he has to be serious. I'm more concerned about that than them taking away Sokka's sexism. sexes.
well, yeah, I'm more concerned about that because them removing that from Aang just feels like they're completely fucking up the lore. Because like that was what characterized Aang. Aang was a little boy, and we saw him grow. And if we're gonna take away that from us, we essentially what we're given is like a husk of a fucking avatar. It's like, oh, it's this protagonist that's just gonna accept his duty and like just start fighting randomly. That's not a good story. Like that's a fucking linear protagonist. Like if I wanted to do that, I'd probably go watch She-Man. Oh wait, they butchered that too.
Well, so I'm hoping that they're replacing these lost traits with other things that will make these characters interesting. However, if you take away Sokka's sexism, what does that mean for his relationships? Because, both of his relationships play pretty important roles for that character, and one of them is literally spurred on, by him getting humbled, which is so awesome, by the way. I love that
I feel
so
like
much. It's like one of my favorite things. Um,
I feel like they're probably gonna cut one of the relationships out because
I
they're
suspect that too.
yeah like
But both have been
if
cast. Both of the characters have been cast, so I don't know.
well what next like if they're gonna ship fucking Zuko with Katara, they're gonna ship what do you call it? They're gonna ship like Aang with Azula or something. Oh god.
Aang and Sokka, hello.
Uh,
Sokka, yes. Wait.
oh, nobody's. Please, if they do that,
The
I'm just.
plot twist of the century right there, dude. He's
Dude,
so good.
my hope for like anything out of Netflix will be completely shattered. Like they already ruined one of my favorite like franchises. Oh
No,
no.
if they do Aang and Sokka, I'll be real impressed. That takes some balls.
Hey, that's
I
what
mean,
Doug
they're
was saying, right? You just have to really throw it off.
Yeah.
gonna come in and just basically say "fuck you." We're doing Aang and Sokka. I'm down. I'm so down.
Yeah, I don't know. I used to feel very strongly about shows like sticking to source material when they do like a remake or a remaster or whatever. And I know like a lot of the changes they proposed have been like kind of eyebrow raising, but I really do hope that they like make good changes. I've seen it done well, and it's usually done poorly more than it's done well, but it can still be done well. I'm just kind of wondering like, okay, if they're making like Game of Thrones changes, if they're trying to do this and do that, it's like, maybe they just feel like their audience for the show has grown up so much that they need to make these changes, but at this point, kind of like you were saying earlier, like why didn't they just make a whole new like Avatar show instead of like a remake? It seems very bizarre. I
Well,
hope
and
it
their
turns out well
messaging
though.
just isn't consistent. So if you want to make a more mature show, then you shouldn't say that certain themes are too mature for your audience.
Also true. That's a good point as well.
I agree with that too. I
Very good
think
point.
their biggest problem that we're having right now as viewers, potential viewers, is understanding. Okay, so this is a remake, but it's also not a remake. You want fans from a whole other, you know, 8-season show that has it couldn't be any more different. Like, well, what is going on here? Like, what are we watching? What are we about to watch? Maybe they're doing it on purpose. Maybe we're all gonna sit down because we're all, you know, anxious to see what they put out. But I don't know.
How about the
It's
earth bending with Boomy?
yeah. Oh
We
yeah, the
love
clip you're
Papa.
talking about.
No, that's the ultimate plot twist. They're gonna fucking they're gonna have Boomy with what's his name? Boomy with Aang. That's the ultimate fucking relationship.
They're
I
so
mean, Doug
drunk.
saying about them baiting. I mean, did you guys see the clip of Aang fighting Boomy?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the rocks moving like slow as shit.
Oh wait, what? No, it looked fine when
Yeah.
I had seen it. I hope that's not true. I think it looked
No,
fine.
it looks straight
No.
out of like the movie.
Oh
Like when they're all like dancing and the
no.
rocks moving like slow as shit. It looks exactly like that. So that's what made me think about it was you were talking about them baiting the audience. And that's one of those things where I'm like, there's no way that's actually what that's gonna look like, because that looks exactly like the movie.
I hope you're wrong. I really do.
I'll find it. It's pretty great.
I do know that at some moments it's in slow motion.
I feel like I don't even want to think about it.
Well, you got
Oh, I
2 more
got it.
days. before you have to think about it.
Here you go. This shit looks ass.
How about I just don't watch it? Problem solved.
Well, then you'll see it on Thursday.
Because yes,
Okay.
it does go into slow motion, but it's already moving slow before it goes into slow motion.
Oh, you are kind of right. It's not as bad, but it is.
No, there's more texture on the rock than there was in the movie, but
But this looks so bad and cheesy.
You're right. You're not wrong. It does not look good. Oh no.
And that's one of those where it's like, there's no way they thought that would be a good thing to share, unless they're trying to screw with people.
Yeah, I do get the feeling that it's possible we're just getting trolled. I hope I'm wrong. I hope it's good.
Just a little bit of light trolling.
Just a little bit of light trolling. Don't worry, guys. It'll
So
still
wait
be a
a
good
minute.
show.
It's like the
Right.
Sonic movie. They bait us with the bad Sonic when they really had the good one in the back pocket.
Yeah.
Oh, what a
what if
fucking abomination.
they want the generation of hay watchers? That's what it is. The whole time they spent millions just to get everyone to hay watch it and laugh. It's just meant to be memes. One of the things that I appreciated so much, I get really worried because they took it away, but it was the little cracks in the characters, like Zuko, the conflict when it's showing through, Aang and his just the little personality traits that shine through for each of them. If they take that away, then like, what do you replace it with, man? Like, what does it look like? It's so much.
Bland corporate writers. It's happened so often that I've just lost my faith in like any of these upcoming shows.
Well, and I'm with you, Doug, but it's condensed is the biggest issue. So if you
Yeah.
look like I was saying to Kristen, like Final Fantasy VII did it pretty well with changing the source material completely, but they expanded on it. So like instead of a 60-hour game, now it's 180 hours.
They
Um,
literally just like gave in to 3 games.
yeah, but I mean, so they completely changed the main storyline, but they expanded and did something different with it. I don't think you can necessarily do that if you're condensing something, right?
Mhm.
Because then you're taking stuff away, but you're also making it shorter. So it's like, well, you can't really put something new in it. You're not giving yourself the time to flesh something out.
Yeah, I saw mention
Pretty much.
they said they were gonna focus on the trauma stuff more, like Aang and or not Aang, sorry, Katara and Sokka's mom getting killed, and I think Zuko getting blasted in the face too. So it is weird that they condensed it, and they're also expanding stuff that gets explored later on. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing, man. I have no idea. It feels
We
like
can only hope, right?
yeah, it genuinely feels like they're either trolling us or this is meant to be like a speed run, a preview and a speed run all in one from what they actually want to create. But
I
Do you
mean,
think Zuko's going to be part of Team Avatar in season 1?
I'm concerned.
ooh,
The way they're pushing these interviews, it feels like
He's
he's
grouped with the other
part of the
3 in
team.
all of them.
hmm, I don't know. Oh,
That would go Zutara. They could get together
oh,
earlier.
you're right, dude. You're
Now that
right.
now that Doug confirmed the age swap for me, I'm 100% convinced they're doing Zutara.
I
That's what I
wasn't
said
convinced
earlier,
of
and
it
you
to begin
screamed
with.
at me.
I don't remember, but I believe you.
I just
I
know
yeah.
whatever it's gonna be, it's not gonna be fun. And I've seen a lot of fucking story remakes in my day. I mean, I literally grew up with the Condor Heroes trilogy being remade over and over. So like every 5 years, that would define a generation. If you guys don't know what Condor Heroes is, it's a Chinese like fantasy. And the trilogy, like they would just remake it every single fucking 5 years with like new actors, new everything. So I've seen so many iterations of like a story being told like multiple times. I just hope that they don't butcher this one with like some very stupid like over complicated fucking woke bullshit.
I don't think I don't know. It'd be weird if they were talking about woke stuff and then also said Game of Thrones, because I feel like they're not very,
Yeah,
that'd
it's
be a
the
weird
inconsistent
combination.
messaging.
Yeah. The messaging is really confusing. It's really confusing. I'm a little upset now that I didn't piece together the age swap thing and the Katara Zuko thing until you guys mentioned it. Now I'm really bothered. Oh, we are gonna get to see Monk Gyatso. Oh, we're gonna see the assault actually on the temple, Southern Air Temple. So
That could be cool.
Yeah.
You're gonna get to see Kyoshi's mom.
Yeah.
Wait, what? Oh,
Or not Suki's mom, sorry.
Suki, yeah.
Suki's mom is from the Southern Air Temple.
No.
Oh no, that's just another character they
Unrelated.
added.
They added him, and then they added Lord Ozai in season 1 as well. Because in the original, you didn't get to see him in season 1.
Yeah, no, yeah, that kind
Well,
of missed
I
me
mean,
too.
everyone wants a piece of Daniel Day Kim as Lord
That's what
Ozai.
Chris said
That's what I
earlier.
said. I was like, when you cast him, you're giving him screen time.
Like that's the whole point. It's like
He is
super
quite
hot
beautiful.
Korean guy. Of course you're fucking putting him in.
Okay, but the whole build up, you don't see his face until I think it's the
I
third season.
know.
And
Yeah,
there's-
Yeah, but when you
three.
cast him for season 1, they're giving him screen time.
You
I
don't see his
know.
face again until Zuko sees him again for the first time, which I think is
Yeah.
so powerful.
Yes.
And we're gonna lose that.
I don't know how they make up for all these losses though. It's so bad.
I know.
They-
I'm worried about like how is the story going to be structured too if they're doing 8 episodes? Like I get they're going to be longer, but where is that gonna, like where does the end of an episode going to look like? Are we going to be on a high? Like I have so many questions. I guess we'll get to find out soon.
Rage baiting.
Are they going to base the fire people off of Japan?
I don't think so.
In the original, it wasn't.
We'll see. The original was based off of Japan because like Japan was the fucking
Partially.
and China was the Earth Kingdom.
It was only partial.
It did work.
Yeah.
They walked it back. I mean,
We
I
watched the
have
whole thing on
Yeah. So in the art book, they talk about it more too. Was that they realized that, Japan invading coast was a pretty recent trauma for a lot of people. So they walked back their uniforms. They used to be much more like almost
Japanese.
identical to the Japanese in the mid 1900s.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they walked that back when they realized that might actually hurt and cause trauma to people that are still alive. So that they made everything more unclear culturally. They tried to kind of move everything. It's Asian inspired across the board, but they tried to make it less. This is this country. This is this country, sort of thing.
In the movie, they made the Fire Nation all Muslim.
Yeah, of course they did. Yeah,
Those are the bad guys, you know?
yeah. It was the mid 2000s.
Bro, that movie's fucked up.
It's so bad.
The new one, it's gonna be the Jews or something. It'll be the
Well,
Russians.
Oh my god.
The Water Nation will be the Ukrainians. That's gonna be the plot twist we don't see coming.
I wouldn't. I mean, I hope they don't troll us, but if they are, please do it in the best way possible.
Earth Nation's gonna be funding the Air Temple uprising.
Holy fuck.
Inshallah, my habibis.
I don't want Trump to make an appearance.
Trump is the Fire Lord, dude.
Not Daniel Day Kim. That's the lie.
No. Trump is a Zulan.
Our nation is the best nation. Nobody does it like us.
We're gonna make it the best nation again. Cause Sleepy Joe, King of the Earth Kingdom.
Lots of
That's the
names.
politics Doug wanted.
Oh fuck yeah! Now you guys woke me up. There we go. That's how you make it good. What did you guys? How did you guys feel about Iroh getting replaced in the in Korra? Do you guys feel like that was tasteful or not? I've always been curious.
I mean, he got replaced in the first
Was it
as
the
well.
first?
'Cause he
Well, in
died.
the first, yeah, he died in the first season during the first season. Yes.
Oh, I thought
Or second season.
I thought it was after.
He was replaced in season 3. That's why I suspect that's why he had so few speaking lines in season 3. It kind of worked out in the story too.
Had to limp across the finish line. Yeah.
It was depressing.
Very sad.
God, Leaves on the Vine. Like,
No.
I'm not usually a fan of filler episodes, but that one, damn.
Tales of Boston say, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Those 5 minutes of Iroh make that episode great. The rest of it I could leave behind, but that episode is definitely top 5 just because of that.
Really, I like that whole episode. I think that whole episode is done
Cute.
so well. Yeah. I think
It's filler.
my least favorite mini part of it is probably Katara and Talos, but like I understand why it was there. It wasn't bad, but it's
I thought that was better than Aang's.
I can't remember Aang's. He was looking for.
He goes looking for Appa, but he helps the zookeeper.
Oh, that's right.
It's very filler.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But well, I think we covered a lot. Is there anything that anyone wanted to talk about before we close out here?
I think we got to talk about the Great Divide. It's my favorite episode.
The Great Divide. Which one
Get
is
out
that?
of this room.
Is that the
No
one where
way.
they the Yang Chins and the something?
Yeah,
and
it's the worst episode in the show.
The worst? Oh, okay, fine. We can
What?
talk
You
about
like
the
the Great
worst.
Divide?
It's not good, but it's funny.
It's terrible. And that was the one that was always on the reruns for Nickelodeon, too. So I've seen that episode so many times, and it is just purely filler. Every other episode in the show, some of it will come back into a future episode. There is nothing in The Great Divide that ever comes back. And it's the one episode where Aang's like, lying is okay. Good job, kids. Move on.
Holy fuck.
Terrible. What is a reason to give me a plus for it, honestly?
I don't know.
It got you to
actually.
watch. It finally got you off Avatar and watching a different show.
Oh, geez.
I don't know.
I doubt it. I don't know. Huh. That episode did suck compared to all the other ones, I guess.
It's like the only true filler episode in the entire show.
No, there was some other bad ones.
Season 3,
Painted Lady.
the Painted Lady is
That
kind
one
of
came up in
the
my
same.
brain too. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Beach was rough.
Oh, what?
I kind of agree.
I didn't like season 3, honestly. I thought that was probably the worst season.
The Beach is when Zuko finally acknowledges that he's not mad at anything else. It's him.
It's a little cringe.
I think that's pretty important.
Yeah, it
But
took
it
an
is-
entire
he's-
episode
he's
to get to that.
He's a sweet little emo boy, It's believable. Mid 2000s, remember? You see his
I know,
haircut.
but I like the more subtlety that was going on. And then we just get to that one, and it's like, yeah, man, none of this is a surprise to us, the audience. We know how Zuko
Yeah.
feels inside. We know how Azula feels. We know. Well, we probably didn't know about Ty. What is her name? Ty Lee.
Ty Lee.
Yeah. But you figure it out as you get older.
Yeah, that's
It's a
true.
little rough.
What was another filler one? When they went to the play, I don't know which one that was in. That was bad too.
Yeah, it was a recap. Yeah, fair.
It was a bad recap, though, right?
It was
Because didn't they just get all the details wrong or whatever?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
part's silly, and then Aang is kind of unlikable at the end of it too.
Yeah,
When
he
he's
he
mad at
kisses
Katara
her,
for
no consent.
her actor on the stage kissed Zuko, and Aang loses his mind.
He's jealous.
Of her not really kissing Zuko, just ridiculous.
Again, we're really supporting those two just really didn't have so much chemistry.
I mean, the show, yeah, obviously, like the producers were making fun of that too. I do like in that episode where they're like, "Did Jet die?"
Oh yeah,
It's really unclear.
Yes, that was so awesome. I couldn't believe he was in there.
That was great.
Yeah, but you're not wrong that if those two don't get together, then no air babies, no air bending babies. Yeah, it's like with the whole.
I mean, you could always get together with Azula, and then you could write Korra differently.
Aang and Azula are not getting together. I don't know why we keep bringing this up.
You're right.
It's
You're
not
right.
fitting.
It's gonna be Aang and
Most
Aang and
unhinged
Sokka.
ship I've ever heard.
I know.
It's
That's
gonna
not
be.
okay.
Oh, is that more unhinged than Sokka Aang?
No,
Sokka-
yeah, it is.
Well, no.
Because they kind of have a bro thing going on already.
Yeah.
What do we
See
call
how that
them?
would've developed.
Sang?
Sang?
I
Akka?
like
Akka.
Akka sounds better,
Yeah, I don't know. Zulang is not the move. I would never
A
even have thought of it in
Zulang.
100 years.
That one sounds pretty good.
Have any of you read the comics?
No.
No,
but
nerd.
Oh,
Unfortunately.
okay.
I've always wanted to. I've heard they're good, and I heard that a lot
All
of the
right.
time they've spent not writing TV shows is they've been writing comics and books, and it's all been stellar.
Yeah, the books are better in my opinion, especially if you like the murderous avatars. The comics are a little too sweet. Like several of them are Aang and Katara learning their relationship for the first time, so they're just calling each other babe constantly. So they're pretty cringe, a few of them. I think the murderous avatars are way more fun.
For sure. Yeah, I think my interest is peaked there. Now I want to go and read them. 'Cause I always
thought-
saw snippets that they were psychotic. But didn't realize how far it went. Also,
I mean,
Crux, the water.
yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to read his because I love the stupid romance
So
stuff.
he doesn't have a book, but he is explored a lot in the Kyoshi novels, and it's really cool, his story. And if you're interested in reading them, I will not spoil it for you, because that's
Yes,
kind
yeah,
of like a
not at all.
final reveal in the second book.
Okay, that's fine. We'll save that one. That one I think I am the most interested in. I wish they had done a spin-off for him because I think he's got a nice story.
Up,
From what
I'll
we
give you
know.
that.
Yes, sir.
Is there any is there any backstory for the combustion stuff? Because I feel like they just threw
Yeah.
that in both of them, and they never explained how these guys are.
Yes,
How does that
there
work?
is backstory for the combustion stuff in Yang Chen. A lot of it is they discover like a large target round, which is for combustion vendors. Incredibly rare. They're basically tortured and led to that path from a very, very young age. The training for it is incredibly grueling. Most of them die during the training process. So there are 3 known combustion vendors during Yang Chen's time, which is her mission to stop them, and that's where it goes from there. But yeah, so the backstory for them, it's kind of shrouded in mystery, but it's essentially just led to be known to be a very grueling process from what they're able to mention. It seems like all the combustion vendors that talk about it are really fucked up because of it. So they aren't able to really explain too much, but most of them die learning how to combustion vend, and they're kind of forced into it from a young age and basically trapped, and that's their life is learning to combustion vend. And they're used as like owned weapons for like in Yang Chen's book. They're owned by it's not Earth Kings, but it's like the Earth Kingdom has a bunch of different warring dynasties.
Mhm.
So 3 of the main merchant ones own the combustion vendors, and they shut up, Percy. And they kind of try to use them as a weapon, but the combustion vendors are like, actually, wait, I'm way more powerful than you. So they kind of try to take back control there and threaten the city, and it's Yang Chen's job to stop them. That's when she does the sucking the air from the room thing.
Wow.
Those are cool too.
I'm
They're
starting.
very short.
I'm
Read them.
starting to understand what these guys meant when they said they want the show to be more Game of Thrones. I think it's possible they got their hands on some of this lore and were like, yeah, we can do this.
Honestly, yeah, the books would lend to that Game of Thrones kind of format better than the series would, in my opinion.
I wouldn't have been mad if they had said that if they had aged the characters up. And I'm like, okay, that makes more sense. But like, what are you gonna do here? You're gonna have these young kids going through like, what we saw in Game of Thrones. They're just the whole thing is gonna be terrifying for everybody. Like, you're gonna have murder and death, and, terrible things happening all around these little kids. Like, what's the plan?
I mean, there were little kids in Game of Thrones too. I mean, there's the little assassin chick,
Um, oh, Arya.
Maisie Williams, Arya.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True, I'm not wrong. You guys' cat is losing it.
She
It's
gets
not
fed
my
in
cat.
4 minutes.
Oh, it's almost 10? Okay, I'll
That's why
leave it.
she's freaking out.
Okay. Sorry about her. She's on loan.
Look at. Give her a book, color Yumi.
Well, I wouldn't mind if they pushed the killing and not killing thing a little more. And you could do it a lot with the bending ring. We've seen so much of the psycho stuff, like blood bending and sucking the air out of the room. And I don't know.
Hot take. I think Aang murdered a lot of people
Oh yeah.
without realizing it. In Avatar: The
Nah,
Last
they
Airbender.
they all swam to safety when he pushed them off
Yeah.
the ship in the typhoon. It's
God,
fine.
that
Or,
wasn't
the
him.
Northern Air Temple when he threw them off a mountain. They
Yeah, or
survived,
the
right? Or
or like
froze
everyone
water
that
over their heads before they came up to breathe.
yeah, or all the firebenders who like died in the siege of the Northern Water fucking tribe,
That
just
wasn't his
swept out
fault.
to sea, fucking drowning one by
That one was
one.
the vengeful fish.
Yeah, it doesn't
Angry
count.
fish.
Doesn't count.
I mean, he was involved.
Even
He's like
skipping
at least an
that.
accomplice. He's at least an accomplice.
Yes.
Okay, fine. He's an accomplice.
Aang has a lot of blood on his hands.
And all those poor cabbages.
Yeah.
Oh.
Not the
All those
cabbages.
cabbages.
I love that they had the little cabbage core remark in Korra. That dude had finally made it in life. He started his business. Made
Not
his
my
American
cabbage
dream.
corp.
The American dream.
the American dream.
Yeah,
American
it's-
cabbage core.
Iconic. Baldur's Gate 3 reference for it too.
Somebody
Mhm.
say Baldur's Gate. I'm trying to figure out why my fucking mod keeps on freezing when I get to the tutorial chest. Then I realize it's improved world tooltips. Fucking hell, Larian. I guess we're waiting for the next hot fix.
Whoops.
Is there anything else I can think here? Anything about the movie you guys want to talk about, or do we just want to leave that where it belongs?
We already talked about the movie enough. I think we're good there.
I don't think anybody wants to talk about the movie. Like,
I've honestly never
unanimously,
seen
like,
it.
Dude, don't watch
like,
it. I watched it. It's I don't
I don't
even
think
remember it.
Kristen's seen it either.
No.
It's not worth for
some
any
things
risk
are just
whatsoever.
better left unsaid.
I remember watching it, forgetting about it, and then it was a meme for quite a while, and I just kind of forgot. You know it's bad, but you don't know how bad it is, and so I went back and watched it, and it's not only bad as an Avatar movie, but it's just a really shitty movie. It's not only a shitty movie, but it's a shitty Nickelodeon movie. Like it's just really, really bad. Like it's terrible.
0 redeeming qualities.
Yeah. So maybe it's
Oh no, no.
How would you know?
There is,
You've never seen it.
there is a
I've seen a lot of
single
people
redeeming quality about it.
denounce
It
it.
taught us to fucking.
There's sheep.
Like no other movie can be worse than that shit. When it comes to fucking adaptation. Actually, no. There was Dragon Ball, like the Dragon Ball adaptation. That was pretty god awful.
I would argue this one is worse, I think. Like
You're right.
I
You're right.
genuinely think you could wipe my brain completely, and then if I watch those two movies, I think Dragon Ball is 10 times better than the Avatar movie. Like I don't even think it's close.
No, you at least get to see a funny Piccolo. This
Yeah.
one, it was just bad.
Yeah.
Like everything about it was bad. From the Muslim
Terrorists.
fucking Fire Nation to like
the terrorists attacking the poor Earth Kingdom.
rest in peace.
Is there anything we would like to see changed for the remake?
That's a good question.
I think I would like to see Aang be more mature. I don't think they are doing it because they clearly casted a kid of the same age. But I would have liked to have seen him have been aged up a little bit.
Okay, in that sense, like yes, because then I would still have hope for Aang and Katara.
You're dying on this hill.
Yes. They have children. I digress. No, I would have been okay with that too because he does look just so much like a baby next to the rest of the cast. So it's throwing me off quite a bit, especially I mean, he looks a little bit better now, but now that he's doing interviews, but all the shots of filming, he looks so young.
It literally looks like Katara's a pedophile because of how young
Yeah.
that guy is.
Jesus.
It's like they should have casted like a 14-year-old or a 15-year-old to like play the fucking 12-year-old because this Aang literally looks like he's 10. He's just like
Mhm.
he looks like he's in 5th grade.
Yeah. Which, I mean, outside of him just looking like a baby, I do think he's got the right look. Like, I think appearance-wise, a lot of the casting looks great,
Azula looks amazing.
except for Azula.
I kind of disagree. I don't like this style. They did the same thing with One Piece, where they do like the one for one kind of bring the anime to life thing. I'm not sold on it. I'm really not. I think it looks weird. And Jet's
They
hair, and
really.
even Boomy, it's just like even Iroh kind of
I
looks a
think
little
Boomy looks
funky
bad.
to me.
Okay.
I'm low key not a fan, but I'm still open minded about it. Even
I'm
Aang
open-minded about the costuming and the makeup, but I think as far as the looks of the characters and the actors they cast for it, they look pretty good.
yes, that's fair.
What the actual fuck did they do to
Azula.
Yeah.
what do you call it?
Ooh, Ben.
What did they do to Azula's cast? What the hell? That is not Azula.
I could forgive her looking just like more soft in general. The looks aren't even the issue. I saw one interview with her and she is so timid and admitted to being like a fresh actor. So I'm just like sitting here watching her super shy, like scared to look at the camera interview, and I'm like, how can you possibly act as commanding and assertive as Azula? I have
They're
concerns.
baiting. They're baiting.
Yeah.
It's all an act.
The rage baiting.
Maybe she's that good of an actor, right? She's faking it right now in the interviews. I don't know.
You'll never know. Keep them guessing.
Oh, we'll know on Wednesday.
Something like that.
When's it come out? Like Wednesday midnight?
Good question. I don't actually
Because I thought it came out Thursday, but I'm guessing it's like Wednesday midnight.
The 22nd. Oh, you're right. It's Thursday. So, and I think they're dropping all of it at one time, right?
I think
I have no
that's
idea.
kind of grief, but
I mean, it's grief to them.
Whatever.
It's good for us.
I hope they do, but I don't know.
I feel like they should drop it like 3 episodes at a time or something.
Yeah. I mean, I prefer them to drop it all at one time, but I think for their bottom line, they should do the, once a week thing to keep people.
No, I think even for the audience, I think it's better if you spread it out because you're gonna have all the people who binge it and they're gonna want to talk about it, and then you're gonna have other people who can't binge it or don't want to binge it, who are having to avoid spoilers constantly. I don't know.
I feel
I
like
think you have a better community if you drop it in a more digestible time frame.
you might be right, but I, however, fucking want to binge it so bad. Like I don't care. Fuck
Same.
everybody else. Yeah, right. Like, drop it, please. Please, please, please. Yeah. No. Anything else? Are we missing anything?
I think it's a pretty good place to stop, honestly.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for all coming on and chatting about your favorite moments and
Yeah,
your
for sure. Thank you
most
so much.
hated moments.
Hey, you gotta take the good with the bad. No show's perfect.
Yes, and we love Mediocre Nug for bringing us all the fantastic lore that none of us would have known about. And Vin for your extensive knowledge on the uh, Asian stuff. 'Cause you're Asian.
He's the token Asian.
No, we just need a black guy.
We had one, but he canceled.
Holy shit.
No. But yeah, thanks guys.
Yeah,
It was a good time. I was looking forward to this episode. Probably, among very much compared to a lot of the other ones. This is what I was really looking forward to. So I was happy to get both all three of you on here and to pick your brains.
You're welcome.
Especially you, Chris. You're my favorite.
I brought great depth to this conversation.
You did. Your insights invaluable.
We would have never talked about the Great Divide.
True.
The fact that you know that episode name.
I have to listen to you cry about it.
Surely you looked it up though. No.
No.
Yeah, no, he's
No,
getting
I
episode
didn't
list
look
up on
up
the
episodes.
screen
I did
right
not have to
now.
look up that one.
You probably didn't. That's true.
Wow.
I've ranted about that episode before.
guess I'm just gonna wait for the Larian hot picks.
The Larian.
Baldur's Gate 3. My
Oh,
modded
fuck.
game is so fucking bugged right now. When I click the chest, it just fucking booms.